you have more means to tell your story than you did 10 years ago. So I train as a journalist. You train as a journalist.
Right.
So we are storytellers. Right now, I wish I was younger because we have better ways to tell stories, more means to tell stories. It's a reason to be happy, not to be depressed. The newspaper will take a different role. People see the paper as more of a contemplation, relaxing thing. In all of our research, they tell us the computer we associate with work. You are reading online and it's basically more like a work function because we work with computers.
Yeah.
You take this to bed, you sit under a tree, you sit by the beach. It's a relaxing moment. Books, magazines, paper is still associated with relaxing, contemplation, and the content begins to get there. I think very few editors, and this will continue to be this way in the next 5 or 10 years, expect to tell you the report of the news in the morning. You know, fire kills 10. They already heard this when the fire occurred yesterday. So now your headline is going to say arson suspected. And everybody knows what fire you're talking about. So this is what the role of printed newspapers is going to be, to begin with a second day angle, to interpret for you, why is this happening? Why did the stocks go down? Not the fact that the stocks plunged. Everybody knows this already. Why? And project you into the future.
So you have to go behind the story.
Behind the story, and so say newspapers are no longer put to bed. We as journalists used to say at 10:30 or 11 o'clock we put the paper to bed. That's gone.
No.
Newspapers are never put to bed.
They don't sleep anymore.
They don't sleep anymore. And so in the morning, they arrive sleepless, and they arrive one day late. So what do you do when you're sleepless? You better be more fun. You better develop something else. So you will see a tendency for a lot of the material we used to see in the weekly magazines like Time, Newsweek, and so on, coming into the daily newspaper. I want to read, for example, what is behind the personality of Hillary Clinton. I don't want to read tomorrow morning that she's 10 points higher. That's
because you already knew.
I already know this. I already know that in Iowa she now dropped 10 points. Tell me why. Are people beginning to find something out about Hillary that makes her drop? I already know that she dropped. This requires a change of mentality for the journalist.
It's a revenue from online news, online or websites, high enough to compensate for the loss from the print side in America.
Yeah, it's beginning to catch up, but all of the experts tell you that it will be 5 years before you begin to see the fruits of advertising revenue and so on online. Remember, most websites are free.
Yeah.
And in the case of the Wall Street Journal, you know, which is the one highest subscriber-based paid online website, 1 million people pay for it. Now the new owners, you know, News Corp and Rupert Murdoch, he's talking about making it free. Why? Because he says instead of 1 million, we will have 5 million people going in there daily.
And they're going to earn money from
the advertising. So advertising is very rapidly beginning to realize that there's a lot of traffic here. That the average time spent in a newspaper is 23 minutes, Monday through Friday. The average time spent surfing or navigating the internet in news websites is about 35. But in those 35 minutes, people look at 6 to 7 websites. Because we become our own editors. You do this and I do that. Maybe you like the sports from USA Today, and if you are, let's say you're traveling, and you're from Thailand, you will access your local newspapers to get the local and national news, but then you might like the entertainment section of the New York Times, so you go there, and the financial section of the Wall Street Journal. So we all become our own editors. And this is another important part of what I mentioned, that newspapers are something you read, while the website is something you do. You can participate, you can be part of a blog, you can be part of a debate instantly.
Is it a generation thing too, that younger people, say those who are 15 to 20 now, will not have the habit, newspaper reading habit in the morning like the older generation, like us, or those who are 40 years old up. So that group of people have never really touched a newspaper in the morning at all. They wake up in the morning, they go to their computer, and they check the news, and they check the whatever they want from the internet. That may be the first generation to do without a print
Yeah, and that year, the year 2012 is an important one here, because in 2012 worldwide, you have the first group of 22-year-olds, which is when people sort of graduate university, become adults, subscribe to a newspaper, begin to recreate the habits that their parents gave them. You move to your first apartment, some of them get married, have a child, buy their first car. That will be the first group of adults in the world who will have no remembrance of life without the internet.
What will happen to this paper then?